Welcome to Taiwan Talks. I'm Albert Chiu. Former U.S. President Trump achieved a sweeping victory during the Super Tuesday primaries of the Republican Party. His competitor, Nikki Haley, who only won Vermont, announced her withdrawal from the race and reiterated that she would not serve as Trump's vice president. She also mentioned Taiwan upon exiting the race. Let's take a look.
Standing by our allies in Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan is a moral imperative. But it's also more than that. If we retreat further, there will be more war, not less.
The current situation is set for Trump versus Biden rematch, with Taiwan's new president Lai Ching-te taking office on May 20th this year. What changes might occur between the U.S., China, and Taiwan if Trump returns to power in November? Joining us today are Charles Wu, National Chengchi University Department of Diplomacy Professor and Chair, and Jasmine Lee, U.S Taiwan Watch co-editor. A very warm welcome to both on the show.
Hi, Albert.
Hi, Albert.
Now that Trump's only rival, Haley, dropped out of the presidential race after Super Tuesday without endorsing Trump. So how do you, the first question, assess Trump's chances of winning against Biden? Charles?
Yeah, I think the Super Tuesday on March 5th, we can say Trump, he won like 14 states against Nikki Haley. And Nikki Haley we saw the video, she gave up the race. I think Trump will, he is in a good shape right now, okay? Especially he still maintains a very high supporting rate in the evangelical group, the men without college group, and also the elders who are supporting Trump a lot. So I think Trump knows how to manipulate his powers and his voices to support him. And we can say that we can say he was charged for about 4 counts, the federal counts. But it doesn't give any hurt to his reputation, because his supporters say this all the conspiracies from the Democrats. So if the people from, the American people charge Trump and say, hey, you even have the tempting with a witness or you obstruct the voting rights, and they will not hurt Trump supporting, even it will increase his supporting rate. So now we can say Biden has he faced some difficulties and strong challenges, because so far today we can say Trump's still winning a little bit in a very short margin in like Georgia or in the winning states, swinging states. So this will be a critical moment for Biden, how to use his strategy and also play around the tricks on the abortion issues in order to get more supporting from the individual voters. I think it's very important for Biden.
And also any attempt to deter Trump from continuing his campaign in the either primaries or even the general election would be in vain, because there was a ruling coming out of Supreme Court, that it would have been unconstitutional to do that for Trump, right? So Jasmine, what's your perspective on this?
Yeah, I agree with Professor Wu, and just to add that, if you look into polls in the swing states, Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin, actually Trump, he's leading all of these states. And when Biden, he won, and back in 2020, he only won for really, really small margins. And now the biggest concern towards Biden is his age. And that is not going to reverse.
But Trump is also old too.
But he's energetic. He's his energy,
okay.
You cannot compete with that. And that is not going to be reversed. He just only going to be older and older. And I know there's a lot of uncertainty we still have 8 months to go. We also can go to currently Biden, when it comes to fundraising, he actually had more advantageous than Trump. But and Trump, he has to pay a lot of money on his legal case. But Biden right now, if you look at the swing state, he doesn't really hold a good advantages against Trump.
So it looks like Trump now is in the upper hand slightly.
Yeah.
Regarding Trump's stance on foreign policy, this is the focus of this episode. There's a viewpoint among some political commentators that Trump himself may not pose a significant risk. However, their concern lies with the circle of advisors and political figures he has aligned with for a potential second term. Unlike Trump's previous team, which included Mike Pence and Mike Pompeo, this new circle ranges from staunch conservatives like, for example, Elise Stefanik, to isolationists like J.D. Vance. In your opinion, Charles, what might this new group of associates impact Trump's foreign policy in the case that if he is elected?
First of all, we need to look at Trump's personality. He's this kind of deal maker, very self-interest, arrogant personality. It's very hard for like common politicians to cooperate with Trump. The people or the politicians who cooperate with Trump need to listen to Trump orders or commands. Completely obedient to Trump.
Okay.
They cannot have their own opinions. They need to listen more than talks. Because if you look at Trump's administration for the last four years when he was in power, he always talked. He made quick decisions. We call deal maker, negative personality. He focused on power. He focused on short-term policy. And like what I said, he never listened to people. So the people who need to cooperate with him is first, like I say, like for example, the Elise Stefanik, okay, the congressman woman, J.D. Vance. Even he is more kind of isolationist, but now he's supporting Trump. He said, yeah, we support Trump, okay? Or the Christine Norm, probably the potential candidate for the VP. She is the governor of South Dakota. She's a faithful supporter for Trump. Right. So like what I say, if Trump wins the elections, his new teams, especially in the China policies, will be first he trusts, and also the people can commit and also can practice Trump's orders.
Jasmine?
Yeah, and this is Trump last term. This second term, he won't be able to pursue another term. So I think Trump will definitely want to leave his legacy. And according to Robert O'Brien, his final national security advisor, he also said that what Trump learned from his last term is that personality is policy. So Trump, he will definitely install the loyalist into his team. And in his last term, he struggled a lot to really implementing his will. And he fires a lot of people. People being fired by him all wrote a book afterwards. So I think
Like John Bolton.
Yeah, John Bolton and so many national security advisors. So I think they will definitely Trump will definitely wanted to truly implementing what he wants to do in this second term if he got elected.
And that would be a concern for many people, is that if Trump leans towards isolationism or isolationist in issues like Ukrainian war.
Yeah.
So those people in his cabinet will need to follow that kind of instruction or that direction. So, but on the other hand, if Trump's kind of open up his mind, so to speak, try to get involved in those kind of international conflicts, maybe the members of his cabinet will do the same thing too, right? Okay. The aging trend, we bring up another issue in American politics, is not limited to Trump and Biden. The majority of members in both the U.S. Senate and House of Representatives are of middle to older age. What are your views on the overall aging phenomenon of American politics and its impact on the global stage?
I think aging issues the most critical and focal issues in these U.S. presidential elections. One is Biden is 81 years old already. So if Biden wins and he stays in the power, he'll be 85.
Yeah.
Okay, out of power. And Trump now is 78, which means if Trump wins, he will turn to 80 too. 80, okay? So, but I say aging is not a big problem for president, but health is a very important issue for president, because, when you get to 80s, you will have, constantly with some health issues, and which probably will disturb your presidencies. Like when we read the history, we know that. Like Franklin Roosevelt died in his third term, heart disease. Ronald Reagan, he suffered from Alzheimer's. So, like I say, Biden, if he wins, I think he has no issues when dealing with all the policy decision-making stuff. But this is one thing people doubt, whether he can stay and finish his term. Trump, he said he's like strong. Always show he's strong and active, like just mentioned. Even say he can eat like 2 combo number 1 a day. Okay, but like I say, if ages become issues, then we look at other politicians. For example, the Senate and the congressman. There's a study shows the average age for the House, the congressman is about 58, and Senate is 64, which means a lot of elder people in the United States politics right now. But they need to listen to young people. I mean, aging is probably something, but how can they really understand the young people, their thoughts and their wants? and they made a good policy for the young people. I think it's another very important thing.
There's a term called gerontocracy, the senior people politics. This is sort of like used to describe the political system of those kind of less developed countries.
Yeah.
But now we see the same phenomenon happening in the United States. Jasmine.
Yeah, to be more optimistic, you can say the technology is very advanced right now. But yeah, I think when you think about democracy, you imagine that it's a system that representing the population, the demographic, and representing the voice of the people. So when you see that the politicians are so old, sometimes it prevents for new ideas and newcomers to join the decision making. Also, just imagine like campaign is really expensive. Going through a campaign, you will need people to donate you, to fund you. So how many interest group you will be associated with? So just think of Kissinger. So I think that also is the downsides of the aging problem of the politics in U.S. But also I agree with Professor Wu. Age is also just a number. Sometimes it's the point, if the person really listens to the people, young generations. And don't forget about Bernie Sanders. He's 82 already. He's 1 year older than Biden, and 3 years older than Trump. But he has so much supporters from young generations. So I think, yes, aging is an issue, but at the same time, we should also see if the figures really listen and represent the voice of different population, different groups.
Okay, let's turn our attention to China. What actions might Trump take against China if he wins the election? For example, increasing tariff further. Charles?
Yeah, let's talk about the Trump first terms. We use the first term as examples. When the Trump first term, people say United States decoupled with China. But the truth was opposite. Because if you remember correctly, Trump, when he got elected, and he talked to his cabinet, said we need to make money, reduce the numbers, the red numbers against China. So he called Lighthizer and Mnuchin and say, hey, I give you a lesson. Go make more money back. So if you decouple with China, you cannot make business. You cannot make money back. So I think this is also very important things for the Trump second term if he wins. He will probably use more, we call the tariffs, more this kind of issues to try to bargain with China, ask them to buy more things. I'll give you some examples. Okay. During the Trump first administrations, trade deficit with China is about 300 billion. So he wants to reduce the deficit, okay? Then he put about 25 to 35% of tariffs against China. And I think a couple of months ago, Trump mentioned that if he wins, he will put like 60% of tariffs against China. I think it will be a huge disaster for China if Trump really put 60% tariffs against China. So like I say, how to handle, the Chinese of Beijing, how to handle the business relation with Trump, how to know Trump's personality, we call this kind of deal maker personality, and how to try bargain negotiation will be probably a very, very important mission Beijing need to learn.
Okay, let's take one step further. By asking this question to Jasmine, is that during Trump's previous term, his America First populist policies cast China as a major opponent, as mentioned by Charles. If he was to return to office, could this lead countries that previously supported the United States to change their position?
I think that also allow me to mention one more time, this is Trump's last term. So I think for example, for Southeast Asia country, they will still continue this long-term policy of hedging. They will continue to have this and to count on U.S. for national security, because no matter who is on the seats, no matter if Biden or Trump is in power, United States is still the biggest country, the most powerful country on earth, and no country will want to have a bad ties with the country just because Trump is on the seat. So I think they would, for example, for a Southeast Asia country, they will continue to maintain a good relations with China and with U.S. and try not to choose sides and to strike a balance between these two states. And for European country, I think still their major concern is still Russia. in the first term of Biden, Trump, you don't see those countries really cut ties with U.S. No, they has been their long-term allies, and they are not going to cut ties with U.S. just because Trump is in power. So I think they will definitely. It will be more trouble, or it will be harder for them to see how to cooperate with Trump. But they are not going to like just switch to China. I don't think it's a very clever decision.
Okay, we then seek insights on the impact of the U.S. elections on the global stage from Dennis Ong, a scholar in political science residing in the U.S. and current associate professor in the Department of Political Science at the Sam Houston State University in Texas. Let's take a look.
How should we assess the influence of Donald Trump's current associates who differ from his first-term advisors, such as Pence and Pompeo, to figures from hard-right factions and isolationists on his potential presidency?
As far as we know, President Trump and former President Trump did not get along with his former cabinet member well, which means if President Trump get reelected again for the next 4 years, what happened is in his new cabinet member will be a very different team. There are so many conservative political analysts or policy strategists join the President Trump camp. So that could potentially make the situation, make the Indo-Pacific policy even stronger or tougher towards China or toward North Korea. And also we need to know President Trump himself does not have sufficient amount of knowledge about this area, which means in his previous term, in the previous 4 years, all the Taiwan-related or China-related policy or basically the idea derived from the expert. Now he's kind of distant from those experts. We don't know if who will be his leading expert on the Indo-Pacific strategy or the policy. But what we do know is at this moment, the surrounding experts are most likely very conservative and take a very tough stance on China. So our concern, especially for Taiwan or for Indo-Pacific region, the concern will be, what if President Trump assign extreme strategists to take active action or take active rules in his foreign policy, especially regarding Indo-Pacific? I think Taiwan need to find a way to talk or to negotiate with the potential future President Trump administration. Because from President Trump perspective, only if something or some country can offer something benefit U.S. interests, he's willing to deal with that country or that actor. So I think Taiwan has potential to offer something that the President Trump wants, but at the same time, Taiwan need to find a balance to negotiate with Trump's team. So this is the concern already exists in Washington D.C. and I'm pretty sure that Taiwan has already aware of this.
Speaking of foreign policy and the Indo-Pacific, could you tell us a little bit about what are the current vulnerabilities that exist within Joe Biden's foreign policy framework, especially in relation to the Indo-Pacific region?
When talking about Indo-Pacific region, President Biden gave a very strong impression that Biden administration tried to form a stronger coalition or stronger allies in Indo-Pacific. For instance, Biden administration tried to put together a U.S., Japan, South Korea alliance. It did. And it seems to everyone that in Northeast Asia, U.S., Japan, and South Korea now form a very strong team. However, we need to remind ourselves the U.S. need to lead by example. The leader need to lead by example, which means if something happened in this region, the U.S. need to convince everyone in this region that the U.S. will take action, and the action will be powerful and strong enough to show that the U.S. really care about this region, so the other ally will jump in. At this moment, I think Biden administration kind of show people they are willing to, the U.S. is willing to take certain action. However, what happened in Ukraine and also what happened in Israel did not provide a very convincing situation. lots of countries, including Japan, South Korea, and other developing countries, concerned and worried when Biden administration promised to offer support, promised to support Ukraine, promised to the peace deal in Middle East. They failed. In certain way, they didn't deliver the sufficient support to that region. So as I said, Biden administration could easily be criticized by President Trump, former President Trump, or by Republican, saying that this administration did not offer what ally wants and did not really bring peace to the world. At this moment, I think Biden administration need to really strengthen the military force to show the allies, well, the U.S. still capable of offering the support.
Moving on to the impact of the U.S. elections on U.S. China-Taiwan relations. What is your analysis on the situation facing Taiwan's incoming President Lai Ching-te on May 20th? And also, I wonder, without much of a buffer period in diplomacy, especially if Trump is elected, how should Lai respond? Should President Lai Ching-te follow Tsai Ing-wen's policies, or should he seek a more balanced position between the U.S. and China to reposition Taiwan's relationship with its neighbors?
I think Trump's East Asia policy were totally different from Biden. Biden used kind of multilateral, using the democracy as a very important value to try to bring all the allies together, counter against China. Trump will be different. He will use more unilateral diplomacies, which means he will try to ask those allies to pay, like in his first term. When Trump got elected, he told the Japan and South Korea, pay for our security assistance.
Also NATO members.
NATO. So this is one thing, everyone will go back to self-help system, like what realist mentioned. We need to do ourselves and try to cooperate with Trump if he wins. Second thing, and how Lai Ching-te's foreign policy if Trump wins. I think one thing very important is it's very hard for Lai Ching-te to use, we call either hedging or bandwagoning against China, because in DPP's government, there's no room for hedging or bandwagoning against China. Only pure balancing or hard balancing against China. And Trump knows that. Trump knows that Lai Ching-te's government will not doing anything good with mainland China. So Trump will use Lai Ching-te's offices, administration, as we call even a bargaining chips, okay, to push China to back to the negotiating table, to trade war table. So Lai offices, they know that, and they will try to they will try to know the Trump's next East Asian cabinets, the people, bring a very good connection with them, and try to share information, exchange information with Trump's administrations. I think this is Lai's administration, they will do that.
So if Taiwan is going to be taken as a bargaining chip, as Charlie suggested by Trump, would that be dangerous to Taiwan?
Yeah, I think that's a very tricky problem for what I learned from the first term of Trump. He's a businessman. He sees everything as a bargaining chip. And so, I think that's a really tricky question that the future administration they have to face if Trump get elected. The first thing they need to show to the world and to the U.S. that Taiwan is not a bargaining chip. And we know Trump is probably going to use this Taiwan's card to elevate his position in this deal and on the table. And so I think it's really tricky for the future administration. And I think also 2024 is a very special year that so many countries on Earth is going to having elections. And I think Taiwan is extremely lucky because we have the election at the beginning of the year. So I think it is this year, and there are two major wars, conflicts still ongoing in Europe and in the Middle East. So I think in this time, Taiwan should really, when there's so many instability around the world, Taiwan should be the force of stability to the world. And I think Lai administration in the future, they should follow Tsai Ing-wen's administration regarding to its predictability. I think why Taiwan can strengthen ties with U.S. in the back in the past 8 years, because we're very predictable. And that predictability allows our allies, our friends, to have the room to make decisions. And I think that is something the Lai administration continue to follow.
Charles, you mentioned that the hedge policy would be the left in the DPP government, especially Lai Ching-te administration would take. But what if Lai Ching-te think about a different possibility, open up that door to China, to CCP, saying that now we are going to take a neutral stance, that neither towards U.S. nor much towards China. Do you think that CCP would buy into it, would accept that?
First thing, I don't think Lai Ching-te will even consider about hedge, because if you compare Lai with Tsai Ing-wen, Lai is even more pro-independence.
Okay.
So if you open room for example, you want to open room with negotiating with mainland China, you need to tell your voters it's now to negotiate, and we need to go to see how Chinese people respond, which will create a huge impact to his constituents. So like I say, hedge, there's a lot of definition for hedge. For example, you don't put eggs in one basket. You separate security with the United States, economy with China. However, I don't think they really want to put more economic bargaining chips on the Chinese basket. They want to move the economics from the mainland China slowly. So this, I say, Lai will not adopt any kind of hedging. Then if there's no hedging, there's still pure balancing or soft balancing. This is one thing Trump, he will know. And he will understand how to manipulate Taiwan as a car. You mentioned this one, Taiwan as a car, and using this to bargaining with mainland China. This is one thing we probably need to be aware.
Okay, Charles, Jasmine, thank you for the great insights in this episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In this episode, we discuss different possibilities by focusing on the individuals in Trump's potential administration and how they might influence his foreign policies. Will we see more isolationism or a shift towards more hawkish policies? We also delve into the implication of these policies for Taiwan. On the other hand, Biden still has a chance to win, which could significantly impact the Taiwan Strait. Did you like this episode? Please leave us a message and subscribe to Taiwan Talks. See you soon.